I started out as a real estate attorney back in about 1980. I had gone to law school in Massachusetts and decided to move to Vermont. And I started practicing law in the Green Mountains along with another attorney. And I soon became interested in using the computer in creating deeds. And I wrote an article back in 1984 about using computers to write deeds, and later became well known for my work with the American Bar Association, became head of their real estate computer group back in 1985. After that, I wrote approximately 40 articles on using computers for deed work, and when I later took a tax law degree from Boston University, I became an estate planning attorney. Obviously, I used a lot of the skills that I had learned as a real estate attorney in my estate planning work. We've done about 1,800 more or less trusts and wills since I started practicing law, which, as you might know, is a tremendous number of estate plans. Most attorneys in their private practice might create maybe 200 in their entire careers. I've been very lucky and very fortunate to have been able to focus entirely in this area since 1992 and have created over 1,800 wills and trusts. We have also, on a post-death level, we've also administered over 125 wills and trusts after a person has passed away, and we've focused on this to make it as easy and as efficient as we can do. So we take great pride in both our estate planning and also particularly in our post-death administration of wills. Some people want to know more about me, and I tell them I live and I work in Lexington, and I have 3 kids. I'm married, and I love in my off time to go kayaking. Well, to tell you the truth, it's my only hobby of any merit. I love to go kayaking on the ocean with a sea kayak, and I try to do that as often as I can in the summer. Unfortunately, it's not as often as I might like. Other than that, I'm named in a very famous book called Lawing on Trusts. It's 111 years old. I'm listed in that book for my work in the area of automation, in the area of estate planning and post-death. And in fact, I know the author of that book, and it's a well-known book. And in fact, it's one of the most well-known books on the topic. It's called Lawing on Trusts. And in fact, it's a wonderful read if you're interested in trusts. Constantly either teaching a course or participating in a course. Recently, I taught 4 courses to other attorneys and to CPAs on the subjects of trust basics, income taxation of trusts, and post-death administration of trusts, as well as asset protection using trusts. I did that for 2 separate organizations. The first one was called the Foundation for Continuing Education. It's been around in Massachusetts for over 25 years. And the other course was for the largest provider of continuing legal education to CPAs. I lectured in front of the Society of CPAs on the subject of asset protection using trusts. I'm constantly reading. In fact, I like to tell people at my lectures that I could be the best teacher in the world and they could be the best student, but in that short period of time, they are not going to be able to learn what they should. So I tell them to take one bit of advice from me. I like to wake up early every morning with a big black cup of coffee, and I read for 45 minutes. I read typically law early in the morning, typically at 6:15, and by the time I'm done, 45 minutes later, I finish that cup of coffee, I close the book, and I go off into the world. I find by doing that, year after year, I can read book after book. I've been working with computers and using them to create documents since 1984. When I bought my first computer, I lived in Woodstock, Vermont with my wife, and I bought a computer and I wrote an article just for my own edification called Automating the Deeding Process. I was using a sophisticated word processing technique, and then I discovered the use of databases in 1986 and started writing articles for the American Bar Association, and I was the editor of technology for the American Bar Association magazine called Probate and Property for a few years, where I discussed using computers, particularly database programs, in order to make our production of legal documents more efficient, with less errors, and it was fascinating. I loved doing it.